What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Rumble. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Packers, talk some draft news, as we have a newest member of the Top 30 Visit Club coming into Lambeau to meet with the Green Bay Packers. I'm excited to dive into that prospect scouting report. I see the chat is already lit up. Tim, how was your day, big dog?
Great, man. Looking forward to talking about these top 30 visits, man. The list is filling out pretty quick.
Really is, man. It's I tell you, you look up, you blink, and I think they're going to come in even faster. I mean, you just bat an eye, next thing you know, you've got 20 on the list. Now, right now, I think we're sitting at like 8, I believe it is. But it's really telling to see who they are bringing in. And to me, it feels like a bunch of players that we kind of look at late first, early second, and almost it's like, I mean, you had a couple at the top of the list, don't get me wrong, but now it feels like they're diving into early second, like, hey, or one of these guys worthy of that 23rd pick type thing, you know? Yep. So I imagine somewhere between 15 to 25, they're feeling pretty good about the way the board sits, and they're trying to fill in the pieces now, if that makes sense. At least that's what it feels like on the surface. So sure. We had a question here from Chris, the casual in, says, Clayton, have you done a deep dive on Donovan Ezrau? Yet I prefer him over Pierce. Wow, over James Pierce. He's light, but better against the run and good pass rush production with long arms. You went on to say arms, 34 RAS, 8.28, great explosion, elite agility. Yeah, that's interesting, Chris. Liking him over James Pierce. Like if we look at our board here, we've got Donovan Ezrau in the 31 spot. And the Packers have met with him, so they've shown some interest there. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him in for a top 30 visit. Like you had said, the RAS is in the 8s, so that scores him a 3-point bonus for us. So here's how he lands in the 31 spot. His 2022 PFF grade put him 46th at his position. In 2023, he dropped all the way back to 113th at his position. And then in 2024, he climbed back up to 18th. His PFF big board, or the PFF big board at the end of the college football season, had him in the 46th spot. The consensus big board had him at 69. Daniel Jeremiah has him at 28, right around where we've got him, obviously coming at the 31 spot. However, Kyle Krabs had him at 19, and Dane Brugler had him back down around 30. And so, it sounds like the consensus there across what we consider our scouts, and we haven't heard Greg Cosell say anything enough about him yet to give to Warren a big bonus. They've really just not talked about him much. But kind of feels like, Tim, Donovan Ezrau is somewhere around that 30, somewhere between 28 to maybe 35 range is what it feels like here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely also agree with keeping an eye on him. I don't know if I like him over Pierce. But I do like the fact that Ezrau is another high football IQ FBI guy and played for Jeff Hafley at Boston College. So those are a couple of things that work in his favor as far as his development. He's in that sweet spot for the age too. He's 21 and a half. Got a lot of football years ahead of him. I think he's a great prospect. I really do. And I could totally see him going somewhere around that range, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate the pick if he's the pick at 23, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That means Goody's got him higher than on our board. The measurements look fairly decent, and obviously they've already shown some interest there in Ezrau. Yep. And that could be something that, hey, they met with him, let's say at the Senior Bowl, and they said, hey, we got all the info we need on this dude. We really like him. Let's don't waste the top 30 on him,
Absolutely.
Just because a player doesn't have a top 30 doesn't necessarily mean they're not interested. Now, in terms of, do we like him more than James Pierce Jr.? Absolutely not. Now, I want you to key in on the PFF rankings here, 46, 113, and 18, right? Now let's climb up to where we've got James Pierce Jr. 12th in 23, 28th in 24. We did not have a grade for 22. However, the PFF big board at the end of the college football season had him 29th. The consensus big board had him as high as 13 at the end of the college football season. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 20 spot. Kyle Krabs had him at 13, and Dane Brugler had him at 21st. And he also scored a 9+ RAS. So the moral of the story here is he's better, according to our board, he's better than Donovan Ezrau across the board. One thing that Donovan Ezrau does not have that James Pierce Jr.'s got is that speed, that elite speed, right? With him running that 4.40. And that's not just about how fast is a guy. It's how quick their feet move, right? Especially with that 10-yard split. So now if you were to say, okay, let's find a positive for Donovan Ezrau, I imagine he's heavier than James Pierce Jr., but the PFF grade would suggest he's not that much, if any, better at stopping the run, seeing that the overall defensive grade was, significantly higher there, both in 23. And I think in 24, Ezraku scored a little higher than him. But
yeah, pretty good tackle grade too on Ezraku.
Right. Would not have a problem with Ezraku being the pick over most guys. But if both of those guys are on the board and you say, Clayton, you got to make a pick, I'm going James Pierce Jr. over Ezraku. That's just me personally. It's just I have zero data to say, hey, that should be the pick. Now, like we said with Ezraku, they haven't done a top 30 visit yet. Doesn't mean they won't, but they may like him more than James Pierce and go, hey, let's go do a top 30 visit with James Pierce, which they did, and say, okay, let's see if this guy grades out higher now that we've gotten a better look at him over Ezraku, right?
Yeah.
Because their board could be totally different from ours. I say that 1,000 times, and I do that on purpose, guys, because I don't want anyone to come to think I'm coming across like, man, our board's way better than any information anybody else has got. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just, obviously, you guys know our board is geared more towards what happened by the end of the college football season, as opposed to the underwear Olympics happening and everybody's losing their mind over a player. And that's what's interesting about James Pierce Jr. At the end of the college football season, everybody loved him. He goes out there and runs a 4.47, and I've seen him drop on boards. I'm like, man. So, and again, when you talk about dropping on boards, is that lying season?
Yeah, exactly.
Could be that too. But all right. So there you go. There's a little bonus Ezraku coverage. We got Jacob joining us now, aka Doc Holliday, which, by the way, rest in peace to Val Kilmer, one of the best to ever do it, man. What an amazing person, an amazing actor. I'm sure that's why you got it up there, Jacob, man. Ain't nobody will ever play Doc Holliday the way he did. Tombstone.
Just a fun fact, I spent the day watching all the best Val Kilmer movies. I just wanted to be lazy. I watched Tombstone, I watched Top Gun, and I watched The Ghost in the Darkness.
Oh, awesome. That was a good one.
Freaking movie.
Did you watch The Saint?
Yeah. Real quick fact, dude. I watched an interview too with Val Kilmer about how when he played Doc.
Oh,
it was about how he came up with the Doc Holliday accent, because it was.
Start over, Jacob. There's a bad lag in your real.
It was just about Doc Holliday, how he came to the. Oh man, sorry. This is about Doc Holliday's, how his dialect was like a dead dialect, how he had to talk to a voice coach about the Georgia, like the Southern Georgia dialect that he brought back to life. It was really cool.
I seen that same interview, and they said, man, they actually had a recording of it, right? And he's like, I've actually got a recording of a gentleman that still speaks it. And that's what he listened to. And in that interview, I seen it too. He kind of morphed into Doc Holliday as he was talking. It was like, God, he crushed it. So anyway, this obviously isn't a film review podcast, but got to tip your cap to Val Kilmer. Amazing actor for sure. So, all right. So let's do this. Fred McFarley says Jacob's neighbor's Wi-Fi is failing him. So there you go. Jacob, if you can hear me, say something as quick as possible.
But
yeah, I feel like you delayed on purpose, and that defeated the whole plan there to make sure the delay was gone. It's breaking news. We don't know what the hell we're doing here. All right, let's move it along. All right, so first topic of the day obviously is a big one, as it was reported by Easton Butler that TJ Sanders, defensive lineman from South Carolina, is in for a top 30 visit. Whether he's already been there, it's scheduled, or it's going to happen. TJ Sanders. Big time prospect, in my opinion. Man, this is a guy who overcame coming out of college. He was not one of the highly touted recruits, and coming out of high school into college, he wasn't like a big 5-star recruit. Really excited to see if the Packers may take a swing at him. Now, just a little info on him. Obviously, Bucket Scobenberg been working overtime again. The Green Bay Packers have reportedly scheduled a top 30 visit with South Carolina defensive lineman TJ Sanders, according to team sources, positioning him as a key prospect for the 2025 NFL Draft. Sanders currently slotted at 41 on our PTA Big Board, showcases skills at the Combine with his 6'3", 297-pound frame and 4.95 40-yard dash, offering the Packers a disruptive interior defender with the potential to complement Kenny Clark on their defensive front. So if you move on to the high school days, look at this boy in high school. Dang. Imagine lining up against this cat.
Nope.
look at poor 64. He's like, what the hell have I got myself? So here's the scouting report coming out of high school for TJ Sanders, a 3-star recruit from Marion High School in Marion, South Carolina. TJ Sanders entered the 2021 class as a versatile athlete with untapped potential, standing 6'4", 275. They lied once again. I promise he didn't shrink at the combine. He blended size with agility, excelling as a 2-sport star in football and basketball. His senior tape revealed a quick first step, powerful hands, and a relentless motor, earning him all-state basketball honors and a number 12 ranking among South Carolina prospects for 24/7 Sports. Sanders chose South Carolina over offers from Tennessee and NC State, with recruiters eyeing him as a raw but high-ceiling defensive lineman. Goes on now. Here's the PFF card. Obviously, someone who's entering the league somewhat ascending. In 2021, his PFF grades were a 59.2, 57.4 in 2022. Then he climbed to a 72.5 in 2023. And then in 2024, he jumps all the way up to an 82.4. So he is a player that's gotten better every single year. I mean, with the exception of a slight step back when he finally started playing more in 2022. It looks like 2021 he had minimal snaps. So it seems like a guy who's figuring it out along the way. Really does. What do you guys think looking at the PFF grades there? And we'll continue to dive into the scouting report. I just want to get your all's initial thoughts before I continue talking here. TJ Sanders, Tim, how would you feel about him at pick 23? Or is this maybe what we were talking about? Maybe Goody might be looking to eye a couple of prospects that go, okay, if we do decide to trade back, that's our dude if we trade back.
This is our target, yeah. The thing I like most about TJ Sanders is he's a true real deal 3-tech. And I feel like we've talked ad nauseum about how badly we want to see a true 3-tech in this defense. So that's exciting about him. And, you know, I don't know, is 23 a reach if you're if that's a super important position to need? I don't think so necessarily. I wouldn't be upset at all with him at 23. I also wouldn't be upset with trading back to 27 or 26 and loading up on an extra pick, and maybe you snag Sanders in the second round or something if he's there. But I think he's a great prospect for sure. And you know me, I'm all about the defense. So I would be all for this pick.
Go ahead, Jake.
Huckleberry, what do you got?
Yeah, I think 23 is a little rich for my blood. Graded out real well. We saw the ascending grades, which is nice. Like Tim said, he's definitely a 3-tech. Pass rush grade of a 81.9, run defense grade of a 77 flat, true pass set rush grade of a 90.3. He had a 12.6 pass rush win rate. Around that grouping of the other DTs that are going to be there around 23, I would totally love it if it was maybe a second round pick, or maybe like you just talked about, maybe a trade back scenario. At 23, it'd be a little too rich for my blood.
Got it. Deadfish says, I would think Sanders would be there at 54. If he's there at 54, run a card. You know, that's a great pick at 54, in my opinion. Coach Lynn says, or 29 or even 32, that would be a little more palatable for sure. Someone is going to fall that can help us. Agree there, man. Moving along here, in terms of college statistics, Sanders a four-year tenure at South Carolina, which, by the way, I like that he didn't transfer at all either. You know what I mean? Kind of stuck with his school. South Carolina wasn't a powerhouse by no stretch. Reflects a trajectory of growth and impact after redshirting in 2021 with just 1 tackle in 2 games. He emerged in 2022 with 16 tackles and 1 sack across 12 games. His 2023 redshirt sophomore season marked a breakout, 43 tackles and 4.5 sacks in 12 games, earning honorable mention All-SEC. In 2024, Sanders peaked with 51 tackles, 4 sacks, and 7 tackles for a loss in 13 games, adding 33 quarterback pressures and securing first-team All-SEC honors. Again, first-team All-SEC. So his career totals in college ended up being 111 tackles, 9.5 sacks, and 15 tackles for a loss over 39 games. That's a pretty stout performance there for an interior defensive line playing for a school that has not competed for an SEC championship in some time. Yeah. So obviously they're in the bottom half of the SEC. You go out there and put those kind of numbers up, man, and then earn first-team All-SEC honors, Jacob. That's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the fact he didn't transfer out of there. I think that's kind of cool, too. You don't see that nowadays. People are just not loyal, especially in the college game. You see a guy that's has some loyalty, has some tenure there. And I mean, South Carolina, it's not like he's playing at, St. Kate's or something like that. He's playing some decent people. And like you talked about there.
Big school, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. First team all SEC. I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at. So I would, again, it's just something I think 23 would be a little rich for my blood, like I said, but man, somewhere in the mid second, I'd be totally on board with the TJ Sanders signing. I think it'd be cool. And look at this. Oh my gosh. Is that Omer? What is going on?
Back in the house.
Heck.
Omer.
All right. He's saying the Packer shopping list. He says this. He says the Packer shopping list D-end in round 1s, 2 or 3, cornerback, at least 1 DT, wide receivers in the later rounds, but would be ideal. All right, welcome back, Omer. Let's go.
Hey, real quick on TJ Sanders, did you guys see that he played a little tight end in high school?
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and also shined on the basketball team as well. Can you imagine 6'4", 290 coming at you on the basketball court?
I almost used that picture for his high school profile there because there was a picture of him in his basketball uni. I was like, he's busting out the seams of that thing. Boy, I bet he's bodying people, man. I'm just telling you,
hook him up with one of them custom uniforms, huh?
Exactly. We had a couple of those guys on our high school teams too, man. Where it's just like you can't expect them to run the court consistently, but boy, they'll put somebody's ass on the floor. I promise you.
Yep. That's the way it works. Nobody's boxing him out. I promise.
Exactly. So when you look at the RAS card, man, it looks pretty. So he measured in at 6'3", 297 pounds. He had his hand size was 10 1/4. That's some big old paws on that boy. His reach, arm length, 31, a little over 33 inches, 33.13. His 40-yard dash, 4.95. 20-yard split was a 2.87. His 10-yard split was 1.67. Scoring him at 8.56 on the 10-yard split. That's pretty stout. His composite explosion grade, vertical jump of 31.5 inches for an 8.52, and the broad jump scored an 8.86 at 9.04. Now, he's still got a good composite agility grade with a shuttle of 4.67 and a 3-cone of 7.70. So his overall RAS is a 9.38. Goody is looking at that athletic profile and going, yes, this dude's a freak. He's got all the physical tools you need, right? Is he going to continue to ascend as he enters the league? And is he going to be someone that can evolve into that elite 3-tech pass rusher for us? What do y'all think about the RAS card, boys? We'll start with you, Tim.
No red, I'll take it. Right. And the weight is something that, he'll manage according to, wherever he's drafted, however they want him to play, similar to like a fighter, right? What is your fighting weight? What's your playing weight going to be in the NFL and in which scheme you're in? The agility grade with guys like this, I'll take it. I'll take goods all day. Normally the bigger boys, you see a lot of red in the agility grade most of the time. So I like the RAS 938. I'll take it.
Yeah. How about you, Jacob?
I like it a lot. Personally, I mean,
like Doogie Howser over there with the keyboard, bro.
Doogie Howser. Oh man!
Also a great show.
Gave away our age right there, Clayton.
I know it, man. Go ahead, Jacob. I'm sorry, man.
I really am honestly impressed. I mean, you look at that, like a 4.95 at a legit. I mean, that's pretty much 6'4", 300 pounds. You know what I mean? For him to be moving the way that he does, and even look at the 3-cone. The guy's able to change directions pretty fast for being an absolute monster of a man. The vertical, the broad, it's all there. Like Tim highlighted, I think that certain players, when they play at certain positions, when you find out that they have like a basketball background, it just for some reason makes me realize like they're just more of an athlete than just a big whatever kind of fat guy, for lack of a better term. They got some finesse to what they're doing. They're carrying that weight around quite well. So that's definitely more intriguing. Like if you were going to line up a TJ Sanders and put him up to somebody that was maybe graded out equally as well, and you just told me that he was a basketball player, I'd be like, all right. Because I mean, I think about like, it seems like a lot of the tight ends, you know what I mean, have a basketball background. A lot of the I love the saying how they always say like, oh, LeBron could be a NFL tight end. Dude, LeBron no. He falls at the very sight of an elbow. Like it's don't put that name in my mouth. I'm just saying.
I think LeBron chose the right sport. Yeah. I think he chose the right sport. If he'd been in the NFL, he would have gotten his ass kicked around. And I'm sorry, I don't subscribe to this. Oh, well, he's just trying to sell him a basketball court. He's actually tough. My ass.
Don't put that name in my mouth right there.
So, Coach Lynn asked a great question: TJ Sanders or Darius Alexander? Coach, we're a little bit. I don't say we. I don't want to put that name in their mouth right there. But on our board, on the PTA big board, we've actually got Darius Alexander in the 74 spot, and PFF loved him. He was 109, jumped to 43, jumped to 4. But at the end of the college football season, the PFF big board had him at 175, and the consensus big board had him at 193. Now, he did get a Senior Bowl bonus, which I mean, it's rare you see somebody show up at the Senior Bowl and not transfer over to being a great NFL football player. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 50 spot. Dane Brugler had him at 67. He did score a 9+ RAS. And Greg Cosell actually liked Darius Alexander as well. So you got a 5-point Darius Alexander, 5-point Greg Cosell bonus, Darius Alexander. So to answer your question, we've got TJ Sanders in the 41 spot, I think. And we have got our boy Darius Alexander in the 74 spot. So that's how the board falls anyway. Again, it doesn't mean it's correct there. Coach Lynn did go on to say, love that TJ was a basketball player, probably has great movement skills. It's what you guys were talking about, man. It's when they talk about guys being able to jump out of the gym, that's explosion, right? When you talk about guys being able to move on the court enough, whether you're playing a zone or a man defense in basketball, you got to have that lateral quickness. You got to have that agility to play basketball. The big thing is that endurance. Like endurance in basketball, it's one thing I will tip my cap to people in the NBA. Those guys, because that is not easy to just
moving all the time. Yeah.
All the time. The only thing worse, in my opinion, is soccer, because that field's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
A lot bigger. So, So, I agree with the whole basketball comment there on TJ Sanders for sure. So moving along here, detailed scouting report. We did not hit that yet, did we? So he measured at 6'3", 297 pounds at the combine. Sanders possesses a sturdy, explosive build with 33-inch arms. His 4.95 40 highlights his quickness for his size, and his 2024 tape reveals a penetrating interior force. Sanders excels as a pass rusher with a rapid get-off, violent hands, and the flexibility to slip through gaps, making him a natural 3-tech in Green Bay's 4-3 front. He's reliable against the run, anchoring with power, though inconsistent pad level can hinder his leverage. Developing a broader pass rush arsenal beyond his rip and bull rush could elevate him into a 3-down starter with immediate value as a rotational disruptor. Look at the lean on him right here, too, for a big boy, taking the edge there, right?
Yep.
So I think that's what they were talking about. There was some of the athleticism. Injury and character concerns. Sanders' injury history is minimal. He battled a shoulder tweak in 2023 without missing time and sat out one half in 2024 due to a knee bruise against LSU, returning fully the next game. No significant durability flags exist, and his South Carolina Pro Day showed him hitting 19 miles per hour in drills. If that is true, that is insanity right there, boys. Because it's one thing to have a 40-yard dash. It's another thing to be running a drill. Like when you see the receivers run the gauntlet, that miles per hour is more important than the 40, in my opinion. But you'll take more information over less, obviously. Off the field, Sanders is a high-character prospect known for a strong work ethic, quiet leadership, and no off-field issues. His basketball roots underscore his athletic pedigree, enhancing his appeal. Man, I don't know about you guys, but everything about that. I mean, other than the knee bruise, which he just sat out a half, that's pretty squeaky clean, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and the character issue, or lack thereof, there are no character issues. I love it. Sounds more and more like a Packer the more you read up on this guy.
Yeah, he really does just seem like he fits the exact mold of what they would try to do, especially with if you're going to take a chance on a guy like that, and if you were considering drafting him in the first or second round, you want to make sure that he is an absolute knockout pick, somebody that's going to be a staple in the community, somebody that's going to absolutely take over the green and gold as a true Kenny Clark replacement. I think if they were going to go that way, they're not going to pick a guy that's got, like Tim just said, a little bit of a bumpy background. Just reading that right there kind of solidified the fact that he fits the mold, man. He fits the mold as a Green Bay Packer. Yeah.
And if you draft him, right, and you have him worked into the rotation, your rotation is probably, especially if you take him at the 23rd pick, you're going to plan on him playing quite a bit, being a first-round pick. So you would have Kenny Clark in the 1 tech, Devontae Wyatt in the 3, and you would have probably TJ Sanders in the backup 3, Carl Brooks in the backup 1. So got Colby Wooden there, right? So there's a number of different directions you can go there. And then next year, if you decide to move on from Kenny, you make the decision. Do we want to put Devontae Wyatt in the 1 tech in our 4-3 over or under, or do we want to put TJ Sanders there, right? And I think they could both probably handle it, seeing kind of how we run that position there. And the thing that Kenny did well last year, and I know people don't want to give him credit for it, and I understand it's not very attractive when you watch the game, especially TV copy. But man, those touch spies, he is a big reason why the run defense was so contained last year by this defense, by the running game was contained by this run defense so well. Because man, he was occupying a double team, little touch spy, and that running back had no cutback lane in the middle at least. So that's something that I think someone like TJ Sanders could probably handle that. You get to sit behind Kenny for a year, right? And then work yourself a little deeper into that rotation when you decide to move on. And who knows, maybe Kenny bounces back, has a great year, and then the following year you restructure that deal a little bit, keep him around. That could happen, right? So this is really interesting here, just looking at the chart and kind of how he's been tracked. If you notice, going into the offseason, December 3rd, he was right around the 49 mark, as you can see this, right? And he dropped down, and then right around February 24th, that's probably the combine, I would imagine, right? He jumps back up to probably around, I don't know, probably the 53, 54 mark, something like that. And then he slowly sinks back down, and now he's getting a little bit of a boost again. But when you look at the mocks here, the most recent one was April 2nd by Fox Sports' Carmen Vitale. They actually took him 24th to the Minnesota Vikings. But if you'll pay attention to the dates, there hasn't been a whole lot of mock drafts recently, at least in the month of March, that has taken him very, very high, or else those numbers would be on here, which means he's kind of slipped out of the first on most of the recent mock drafts. However, on April 2nd, they actually had him at 24th. So if I had to kind of guess where's he going to be picked, probably around Green Bay at 23 or whoever has that 35th to 40th pick, that range. So if you get to pick 23 and TJ Sanders is sitting there with, let's say, 3 or 4 prospects that you like the same, trade back and then take your pick of the minimized litter after you get to your next pick after trading back. So that kind of – I love that visualization there too, just to kind of see, okay, where has he been taken? You know what I mean, Tim? Like,
yeah.
And it just shows you the ceiling. And then obviously the fact that there was no mock drafts in March that had him in the first round tells you the floor is probably early to mid-second.
And you look at the Eagles too, popping up here multiple times as a team taking him at the end of the first round there, right? I mean, clearly the pedigree is there, and you got defensive-minded football teams that are all over this guy. So you may be right, Clayton. We may have to pull the trigger at 23 if we want to get our hands on him that bad.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jacob, what do you think, man, about this 20? It looks like late first to mid-second projection, right?
Yeah, I would definitely think that this is one of those candidates for the trade back scenario. And like Tim said, as I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, stop giving defensive players to Philly, please. Can we just
they've got enough.
They have them all.
Can we just stop? But it is definitely a little more encouraging seeing that, like you said, up until very recently, it just kind of was a given that this guy was maybe a first round, sneaking into the first round, for sure an early second round guy. At this point, I still myself would be a little hesitant at 23, but if we were to trade back even 5-6 spots or whatever, and he's still there, I'd be totally cool with it.
Got it. All right. So draft projection, TJ Sanders projects as a late first round, early second round pick. A rise fueled by his 2024 performance with the 51 tackles, 4 sacks, and the combine showing. Sitting at number 41 on our PTA big board, Sanders fits a premium position in a deep defensive line class. The Packers, with picks at 23 and 54, could target him late in the first if he slides, though teams like the Chiefs, number 31, or the Ravens at pick 28 might grab him earlier for pass rush spark. He's viewed as a day one rotational piece with the tools to develop into a Pro Bowl caliber starter, unlikely to fall past the top 50 given his upside and the league's need for interior pressure. So again, that is TJ Sanders sitting in the 41 spot, officially gets the bullseye on the draft board. Matter of fact, I'll add that right now. I've got a chat mark there. If you'll pull that up for me, Jacob. I think it was by H.E. Solder, and I'll get this draft board up here if you'll remind me what he said. And
so H.E. Soder is wondering, do we want Kenneth Grant or Sanders? I'm assuming that means with the 23rd pick. That's a weird question, to be honest, for me, because I feel like Grant won't last that long, and I feel like Sanders might be a little bit of an overreach at that position. So it's kind of that weird tweener spot there. I wouldn't mind. I mean, if we were to trade up for a guy, I necessarily don't. I don't like that idea of trading up, honestly, for anybody, unless somebody falls to the point where it's like we have to. I much more enjoy the idea of us trading back and getting a talent like Sanders or something. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Although there's a big part of me that wouldn't be upset at all if we took him at 23. Maybe that's just my bias towards the defense. I kind of put him up there in that same realm as like we talked about Kenneth Grant, like you said, like he may not even make it that far, but like guys like Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan, it's kind of tough to kind of pinpoint where you think they might go. Those are
I was going to ask, Prince brought it up right here, Grant. If let's say that Grant's gone, there's Nolan there, there's Harmon there, there's Alexander there, and there's Sanders. Which one of those would you be more likely to draft, in your opinion?
Yes. So for me, like H.E. Solder said there with Grant or Sanders, it's real easy. Kenneth Grant's 14th on our board, right? And TJ Sanders was whatever he was, 41st, right? Yeah, in the 41 spot. So Grant, Nolan, or Harmon over Sanders, completely agree with it. Like I said, we've got Grant in the 14 spot. We got Nolan in the 18 spot. And then we've got Harmon in the 25 spot. All three of those ahead of TJ Sanders. But again, if they get him in-house and he has a Jaden Reed-like performance for that top 30 visit, who knows, man? They may have a higher grade on Sanders than these guys. That may be a thing, Yep. I go back and forth. Like our board says that Mason Graham is the best defensive lineman, hands down, no questions asked, right? But again, with Greg Cosell saying that Walter Nolan is the best defensive tackle in this draft and him falling at 18, it just shows you how deep this defensive tackle class is. And that's why you got to kind of let it come to you. Kind of answer that question, Jacob, that Prince, or it really wasn't a question, just a comment here. If you get to pick 23 and 2 of those 4 are on the board, if 3 of those 4 are on the board, trade back, right? Yeah. If 2 of them are on the board, probably want to make your pick unless you've got another position like edge or offensive tackle that you feel even better about, maybe wide receiver. Right, that could be the case as well. As you see, Emeka Egbuka sitting here in the 19 spot on our board. So it's going to be interesting, man. That defensive line talk has been fascinating all offseason. Just how we've kind of to go from at the end of the year when there were some people screaming, we need this, we need that, we need edge defenders, we need edge defenders, we need wide receivers, we need wide receivers. We immediately said, boys, we need offensive line help now because we have no depth. Goody goes out, gets an offensive lineman. We need cornerbacks because we don't know if Ja's going to be back or not. He goes out and gets Nate Hobbs. And now we're going, okay, we got some room to breathe. What do we need? Probably moving on from Kenny, if not next year, the year after that. Let's go ahead and get that 3 tech of the future. I got made fun of for it on Twitter, right, over and over and over. But it kind of feels like they're settling in at edge, wide receiver, and 3 tech is what they're looking at here with the 23rd pick. That's what it feels like they're narrowing down to. So, anything else on the TJ Sanders talk there before we jump into the next topic here, gents?
No, I think it was great. Good breakdown there for sure on the Patreon. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to join our Patreon group, it's the best way to support us here for $3 a month. You get access to everything on the site. We just uploaded. So excited about this. We just uploaded Chalk Talks week 6 and 7. Both were wins, and they were fun to break down. So what you get in there, matter of fact, I'll get way off track. Actually, I could probably scroll up. And we're gonna show this next article anyway. Let's do this real quick. This is what we're talking about with the Chalk Talks. So you see right here, Romeo Doubs scores twice in Packers 34-13 rout of the Cardinals. So that's the Cardinals game, and you get in here and you just hit play. Access. My name is Clayton. You get right into the Chalk Talk. Times in the past, I've To be honest with you, with a stick knot, it's real simple. It's just right there at your disposal. Right there was the game winner. McManus's last-second field goal lifts the Packers over the Texans. We got that one in there. You'll also notice throughout the whole article, you got the entire box score in there with a detailed description, pictures of the game. So just make sure you check it out, man. I'm telling you, for $3 a month, I feel like we've done a pretty good job with that whole setup there. And it just kind of keeps you – what we're going to do, we're putting all those Chalk Talks in place because we're going to go back as soon as everything cools off here after the draft, if we break down all the new draft picks for the Packers. We're going to go back and relive last year through reading the details of the games. Remember we do this every year, Jacob? We would do a refresher. All right, what actually happened last year? And let's take it right up. That'll take us right up to training camp. We're off and running. So make sure you check it out. But all right, so the next topic here, 6 prospects that could be available for Green Bay at pick 159. This is starting to get really fun because as you climb on down the board, you start to find quite a few gems here. And you start to see which positions that the Packers have met with later in the draft that really feel like, okay, that might be where they're targeting that position at, right? So if you couple that with the information we have on the top 30 visits and what we just talked about, who may or may not be in the first or second round in terms of targets for the Packers, you start to see this blueprint, this map of what the Packers may be looking to do in the draft. So here's what we wrote. When Green Bay makes a choice with pick 159 in the 5th round, there's a decent chance that these players could still be on the board below our scouting reports on each, along with their ranking on our PTA big board. Notably, all 6 have met with the Packers at some point, whether through visits, workouts, or interviews during the 2025 NFL draft process. First on the list is this guy right here, Mr. Jared Wilson out of Georgia. He's in the 122 spot. What I did was I went up about 20 spots on our board and just started looking for the cheese emojis and then climbed down to about 20 spots below it. So Jared Wilson's first. Jared Wilson's a sturdy, technically sound center with a strong anchor and a low center of gravity. He excels in the run game using his leverage to seal off defenders and has shown solid awareness and pass protection during the 2024 season. While he lacks elite athleticism, his consistency and football IQ make him a dependable option. Projected as a mid-round pick, Wilson could provide the Packers with depth along the interior offensive line and a potential future starter at center. As you see here with the PFF grades, in 2021, he peaked actually 82.3, albeit it looks like it was minimal snaps. He fell back to a 64.4 minimal snaps, jumped back up to a 70.2 minimal snaps, and then in 2024, he jumped back up to a 79.6, which was the 11th highest graded center in all of college football in 2024. So Jacob Bayer, if I remember correctly, smaller school, actually graded out higher on our board, and obviously with PFF when it comes to playing center in college. Those grades worry me a little bit. I don't know if you guys can find information on the injury history, why when you don't see this rank right here, see how it says 11th, that means they didn't meet the qualifying amount of snaps. So it makes me wonder why does he not have that here? If you guys want to run some of that down. Jacob, if you want to start just talking about what you think about Jared Wilson here out of Georgia.
Yeah, Jared Wilson's kind of an interesting subject, like you talked about, Clay. So he had only played 8 games in 2022, which totaled 67 snaps. In 2023, he only had 131 snaps with 9 games of play. Like you said, 2024, he finally comes in, has a pretty darn good grade, basically an 80 flat. He played 12 games, over 800 snaps. He allowed 0 sacks, 1 hit, and 5 hurries. He's predominantly a center as far as where he's played. He played 810 snaps in 2024. In 2023, had a short stint at right guard and left guard. And then in 2022, also the same thing, left guard and right guard. I don't know if it was necessarily an injury thing or if he just wasn't able to see the field. Georgia has some pretty decent football players from what I'm told.
Yeah.
So it was just maybe one of those facts where he just couldn't see the field. Run block rate of 76, pass block rate of 84.9, which I think is pretty cool. True pass set pass block rate of a 90.5. So I could totally see him slipping in. He also, I believe, ran like a 4.8 or 4.9 and 40 at the combine. So dude can move. Yep.
I don't see anything injury related for him either, Jacob. So it could be, inconsistency or something, inexperience early on there that kept him off the field until the last couple of years.
There you go. All right. So Jared Wilson, again, He's fallen in here at the 122 spot on our PTA big board. The Packers have met with him already. So moving along to the next one, we got Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. This is obviously Matthew Golden's former teammate at Texas. They both, to the best of my knowledge, were top 30 visits, right? Which is really interesting that they bring both those receivers in. Really says a lot. We've got Isaiah Bond in the 127 spot. That's significantly lower than most people do. Isaiah Bond's a speedy wide receiver with a knack for getting open deep and turning short catches into big gains. His 2024 performance highlighted his explosiveness and elusiveness, though he's still developing his route running polish and needs to add strength to handle physical corners. Bond's upside as a vertical threat make him an intriguing day 3 prospect for Green Bay, who could serve as a developmental playmaker with special teams potential. You guys talk about Bond for a second. I'll get the PFF here if you want to just kind of highlight it. I'm going to go look at the mock draft database and see where he's most recently been picked at.
I mean, Isaiah Bond is, again, kind of a unique person. 5'11" is what DraftBuzz has him at. Says he ran a 4.39. I've also seen as high as a 4.35. They have him projected as basically an impact Z, meaning kind of like that Jaden Reed role, you know what I mean, where you can kind of move him around where he's not necessarily – people may consider him a little bit quote-unquote undersized, but he does have the bona fides that he's done out wide. As you see there, his out wide snaps are 4.18 to in the slot 104. I think he's one of those guys that's kind of a puzzle piece for sure. And even if it's a 4.39 or 4.35, the dude's got the speed, definitely. So I would definitely wouldn't mind him in the 5th for sure. He's a little bit of a question mark for me is what he can actually do as a receiver, but I would not be mad at a round 5th round pick for Isaiah Bond. How about you, Tim?
I think 5th round is fair. There's a few other guys that are of that same kind of stature that I would go a little bit higher, including Jalen Noel is another name that comes to mind.
Royals.
Yep. Jalen Royal is another good example. So, yeah, I mean, I think 5th is fair for Bond. I really do. But clearly looks like, the most difficult part is the stuff he doesn't control, right? The height. It's, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I think there's zero chance he'll be around in the 5th. The reason we put him on this list is because that's where we got him on our board, Yeah. The fact that the Packers met with him, maybe they were trying to get some closure on that question as well. Like, okay, yeah, he's not as high as we thought he was. Of course, they may look at him and see him as the best receiver in the draft. But Chad Reuter did a mock draft actually yesterday at NFL.com, and he had the LA Rams taking him at 32. On March 31st or March 21st, Chad Reuter, his other mock draft before that, actually had the LA Rams taking him at 32. And then before that was February 27th, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Ayrton Osley, I hope I'm saying that name right, had Washington taking Isaiah Bond 29th overall. So if these mock drafts are anywhere near accurate, he's going to be long, long gone by the 5th. But again, this is one that if you're saying, hey, top 30 visit, we might be eyeing him for pick 23. No. Let's hope that's not the case. Of course, if it is, who knows? Maybe they'll prove us wrong. But in terms of – go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I will say he just turned 21. And PFF's little kind of write-up says that Bond's world-class speed will be coveted, likely in the top 50, but he needs to continue to grow as a receiver, not just a fast player, to remain on the field for more than vertical play calls. So they're straight saying that he's going to go in the top 50. They have him, I believe, at 109 on the PFF consensus big board right now. But like you said, I don't see him last until the 5th, but I just don't feel like – I mean, if we – oh Lord! If we take him at 23,
I share that.
I'll buy a jersey, but I'll pretend.
It's going to be one of those players that would love to have him in the 5th round. Hell, even the 4th, I could stomach that, right?
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, when he goes off the board, Tim, in the 1st or 2nd round, I'm going to go. Like, okay,
yeah,
because I mean, when you look at why he's ranked there, and again, I'm not trying to knock the guy personally, but in 2022, he was 848th at his position according to PFF. He jumped all the way to 116 in 23, but then fell back to 318 in 24. The PFF big board had him at 79 at the end of the year. The consensus big board had him at 48. Kyle Krabs had him at 62, but Dane Brugler had him at 94. And again, he was the one saying he was going to go into the combine, break the speed record, right? The 40-yard dash record, and didn't even come close. His teammate ran faster than him, right? So it's going to be interesting to see where he falls for sure. But for those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for hour. We're going to pick up, continue this conversation, I should say, with these fifth-round potentials for the Packers in hour 2. We'll see you on the other side. We appreciate you.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome in hour 2. Let's continue on here with potential picks in the 5th round for the Packers. Up next, we got Jacob Parrish in the 131 spot on our big board. Obviously, cornerback out of Kansas State. Jacob Parrish is a scrappy, competitive cornerback who plays bigger than his frame suggests. He's quick to react in zone coverage and has a nose for the ball, though his lack of top-end speed can leave him vulnerable against elite burners. His 2024 tape shows toughness and run support and a willingness to mix it up. A likely 5th-round talent, Parrish could give the Packers a feisty depth piece in the secondary with slot versatility. And you go to the PFF grades, Jacob Parrish, according to PFF, 5'10", 198. You guys go check the card, the RAS card, to get the exact measurements. 2022, he was a 69. In 2023, jumped to a 69.9. And then in 2024, he jumped all the way up to a 74.7. And you can see here, he had 470 snaps out wide as a wide cornerback. And then he played in the slot 91 snaps, along with box snaps of 44. So when you take those two together, sometimes those box snaps should be slot snaps. They're just playing zone and playing off that slot receiver a bit. So I would probably couple those together and say 135 slot snaps and 470 out wide. A little bit of versatility there. But what do you boys think about Jacob Parrish here potentially in the 5th round?
Man, I don't mind him, the idea of it. It's just man, I don't know. Like you said, he's pretty steady Eddie. 69, 69.9, 74.4, or 74.7. He played 11 games, 12 games. Like you talked about, almost every year he's predominantly out wide, but does have a little bit of a versatility part to him within the slot in the box, like you talked about. Run defense grade is very respectable at 71.4. Man coverage grade is a 64.8. The zone coverage grade is a 77.4. A little bit undersized for my liking, I guess, is what I'd say. And I don't know. I got in the 5th though. I'd totally be all about it. I really would. It's just it's finding where exactly he would be a fit. I'm just worried that he would kind of go into that hopper of our cornerbacks where it's Bullard, Hobbs, insert any other guy, that could possibly play that slot / outside role. I don't know. I feel like we would need, if we're gonna get a cornerback in this draft, I want him to be more of this guy is definitely going to be in this position type guy. I don't want another tweener, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. It does, man. And again, these are players that the Packers have already met with in some fashion. So they've shown some kind of interest in Jacob Parrish here, Tim. But I agree, man. You look at the measurables and everything, he doesn't jump off the page, but there is some consistency there with those PFF grades. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't ever bad, Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like I can't find much on injury history with him either. So he's playing a lot of ball. He's available. It is interesting that the Packers did meet with him, because he definitely does not meet the thresholds for the build at corner that they like. He's definitely shorter and a little leaner than the Packers are usually interested in, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to take a swing at him, especially if we don't go corner early and we're talking 5th round here. I don't know if he'd be like the first guy on my list, but he certainly wouldn't be the last guy on my list to take a flyer on. So I think there's a lot to like about him.
Yeah. And again, the reality is there's going to be players that are higher on our board that are probably available when we pick in the 120s, right? Like that's most likely going to happen. These are just players being realistic, going, all right, 20 spots above, 20 spots below. What do we have here, right? Moving along. Oh, here's the RAS card. I apologize. So he actually, Tim, as you said, he was a little too small for Green Bay's liking. I looked at 5'10", and I thought, for a later round pick, 198, he meets the threshold there. 5'10", he meets the threshold in terms of, like, Jair, I think, was 5'10". But that wasn't his actual measurement, was it, Tim? He came in at 5'9". So you're right, man. That's a little short. Now, 191 pounds, though, 12 bench reps. Vertical jump looked good for a shorter dude, 37.5 inches.
Yep.
10.09 broad jump, so his explosion's great.
Yep.
Elite composite speed grade there. Obviously, the tape appeared he could get beat deep. That might be more of a technical, lack of being able to handle a release package, because his speed in terms of the 40-yard dash, a 4.35. So
probably a technique thing with him, right? Getting
was.
his hips spun around, and then he's out of the play. Yeah,
cooked. Yeah, and that 20-yard split looking good there to 2.55. So Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State, Packers got their eyes on him potentially somewhere around the 4th or 5th round. So, all right, moving along here, we got Cobee Bryant.
Cobee.
Look at that high step. Was you kidding me? You're looking at the quarterback right now like you hate your life. You hate your life. I don't know about back here. What's this? What's going on right here? Can somebody help me?
Man, leave the sound guy alone.
Is that a guy? Okay, sorry. Cobee Bryant.
I'm just assuming. I don't know.
Here we go.
Gosh.
Cornerback out of Kansas. Cobee Bryant is a rangy cornerback with good length and a flair for making plays on the ball. He's shown ball hawking ability in 2024 with a knack for jumping routes. Though he's still refining his technique and can get grabby downfield, Bryant's athleticism and instincts give him upside as a developmental prospect. Available in the 5th round, he could be a project worth grooming for Green Bay's defensive backfield. When you look at the PFF grades, boy, he is ascending.
Yeah.
The card on PFF shows 6'1", 175. Obviously, that's way too light for Green Bay's liking in terms of weight, but the height is nice. 2021, his PFF grade was a 64.6. Then he jumps to a 73 or 70.3. Then he jumps to a 77.9. Then he jumps all the way to an 80.9, right? So appreciate you putting that up there. He also had 60 snaps in the box and 42 in the slot, right? But the big thing I want you to key in on here, look at that run defense grade, boys.
That's incredible.
91.3. That's crazy. 4th best of all corners.
4th out of 803. I mean, I laugh just because it's like,
yes,
I don't know. It's like I want that 6'1",
crazy, right? He's on the lighter side too. We just talked about him not being the biggest dude, and it's like apparently that's not a big deal, huh?
I just hope that as he like hit sticks people,
it immediately makes you think he's scrappy, right, Jacob?
I was just gonna say, I hope that while he just hit sticks people, he just goes Cobee as he's hitting. Like I want him on the team. I don't know where we would get him if it is in the 5th. That's cool. Like if he happens to slide that way, I want him on the team. He seems like he is just kind of more of like that old school, a little bit taller, a little bit bigger build cornerback that's not afraid to come in there and put his head down and make a tackle. Sign me up for that, dude. I'm cool with that.
Yep.
All right, so here is the RAS card. It's incomplete for whatever reason. So his height came in actually at 6 foot, and he did put on a little bit of weight. So he's 6 foot, 180 pounds. At 180, he needs to put on another 5 to 10 pounds to kind of meet that sweet spot for the Packers. The 6 foot checks out, though. That checks out just fine. The 40-yard dash of 4.53, right? You know what it kind of feels like with the run defense grade? You get him late in the draft. Let's say he's on the board in the 6th round. You snag him and work him in as a backup slot so he can help in the run fit. If for some reason a slot goes down, with that run defense grade, you ain't got to be too concerned with that 4.53 40-yard dash, and just put your nose in there and help with the run game. And who knows, man, you may draft him and try to convert him to safety, put some extra weight on him. You may go that route. But obviously the RAS didn't help him that much. 9 1/4 hand size, 31 1/4 arm length there as well. So it's funny, man. You look at this screen and go, hell yeah. You look at this screen and go, whoa, no. But again, you guys know how I feel about this, and I think I'm in the extreme minority. PFF, in my opinion, leans towards what does the tape show. They're not perfect. I'm going to say that. If you're saying you got to choose one, how did they do in the underwear Olympics, or how do they look on tape? I'm going with the tape every time. I am. So,
yep.
Any other thoughts here, Tim, on Cobee Bryant before we move along, man?
Just reading a little bit more on some of the scouting reports from PFF. They talk about him having that attitude. He's got that, right? I guess we'll call it the Mamba mentality, right? Like just like Cobee, likes to be physical, but he's a little undersized, right? And I saw the write up here. He's real comfortable hand fighting to disrupt receivers, which can get you in trouble. End up, either getting burned or getting penalized. So there's going to be certain attributes of his game that are going to have to change at the pro level for him to find success in the league. But this is a guy, another one. Like, I'm not running towards him, but I'm not running away from him either. It all depends on how the board falls on draft day. Could we do better than Cobee? Sure, but we can do a lot worse too with some of these corners. So definitely see why he's on the radar.
Yeah, Jacob, you good on Cobee?
Just one more thing. As Tim was talking about that, he talks about Draft Post says Cobee Bryant was a 3-star recruit who lettered in basketball, baseball, and track alongside of football, where he brought his athletic versatility to Lawrence, where he was in a prep school there. He had a nose for the football that was evident from the fact that he returned 5 out of 8 interceptions for touchdowns during his career there. Like, that to me just sounds more and more like, let's go, dude. Let's go. Bring him in.
And this sounds a lot like what we say, right? Like, oh, the RAS card looks kind of but hey, this kid may be a football player, man.
Could be. King Tron with the super chat. Thank you so much, Tron. Appreciate you, buddy. Says Kalen King, baby. Kalen King. Thanks, boys. Go Pack, go. I'm a big fan of Kalen King, man. I hope he gets some significant playing time this year, or at least worked into the rotation a bit. I'm also big on Carrington now, man. Carrington Valentine won me over last year, man.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody giving him enough credit. And everybody will act surprised if he takes another step this year. I'm not going to be surprised at all if we look up and he's grading out in the mid-70s. I'm just telling you, like, that's the type of tape he put together. Playing that zone, keeping his eyes in the backfield, breaking off of his coverage to intercept balls in the end zone. And there was twice that he took the ball away in the red zone from offenses. I think there's something there now. And you guys know his rookie year, I was hard on him. I was like, yep, Valentine's probably not going to translate over to the NFL. And then, boy, he shut me up last year. I think that's really going under the radar. I really do. All right, next on the list, Tyler Barron, defensive end out of Miami. And again, Tron, thank you for that super chat. Well, we appreciate you. Tyler Barron's a high-effort edge rusher with a solid blend of power and quickness off the edge. He's flashy pass rush potential. He's flashed pass rush potential in 2024 using his hands effectively. Though he lacks the elite bend to consistently win around the corner, Barron's motor and strength make him a contributor against the run as well. As a fifth-round prospect, he could provide the Packers with rotational depth and special teams value on the defensive line. When you look at the PFF grades, boy, 60.1, 72.9, increases to a 73.7, then jumps up to a 78.5, and then in 2024 he took a slight step back to 76.1. But 4 straight years grading out into the mid to upper 70s. That's pretty darn stout. And look at the pass rush grade, boys, 84.4 with the run defense grade of 76.7. The PFF card here, Jacob, says 6'5", 260. We'll see what the RAS card says in a second. But boy, oh boy, that looks like that might be a late rounder. If he does use his hands well, like they're saying, that might be a guy.
Yeah. The whole Miami edge department is a little bit interesting as you get deeper into the draft between Tyler Barron and I believe it's Elijah Austin or something, or Alston, something like that. But Barron, I mean, you talk about, he's the definition of steady Eddie, man. He comes in there, he plays 13 games. He's got decent sack totals in 2024. He had 10 hits. He had 28 hurries. To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised he graded, I don't want to say as low as he did, but it's a 76.1. It's a respectable grade. But I mean, you look around, his pass rush grade was an 84.4. Like you talked about, a run defense grade of 76.7. The true pass rush grade was a 90. And he has an 18.7 pass rush win rate. Oh, and that all goes along with a 9% run stop rate. I mean, the guy, his stats are exceedingly I'd say superior than what his grade actually reflects there. You saw in 2023 he had the best year of his grades was a 78.5. I would argue that 2024 he should have gotten a better grade than that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to write the PFF guys and ask what the heck's going on there. But
let us know what
size is there. I like it a lot. I'd love that pick in round 5. Absolutely.
What about you, Tim?
It's a Knoxville guy, man. It's a Tennessee kid.
Oh,
is it really?
Ensworth High School in Nashville, and then he transferred to Knoxville Catholic High School.
Oh, Knoxville Catholic. Hey, they got that big shamrock on the helmet, boy.
Yep.
Kind of mimicking my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Woo. Go ahead, Tim.
Absolutely.
That's out in West Knoxville. Now, listen, they are some yuppies out there. I'm just going to say there's some higher class people out there, but they can play football. Go ahead. Sorry.
Vanderbilt.
He, again, looking at the RAS card, right? you see a little bit of red there, but I don't think anything to be wildly concerned about, especially things like weight. Again, I'll take him to curls. He can get butterburgers on me. We'll thicken him up a little bit. And I think for, like we're talking 5th round value here, if we don't go edge early, if we're looking to fill, this is a definite rotation guy. This is a depth pick here, right? This guy's probably not going to run out onto the field and steal a starting job. Although if he did, that would be incredible because that picks up everybody else in that locker room, then makes them step their game up. So I like Tyler Barron. Not in love, but I definitely like him for sure.
Yeah. He may be one of those late round guys, man. 6'4" is what he weight or measured in at. His weight was 258. You can get him to 265 easy, no problem. Bench press a little bit concerning with only 19 reps. But the vertical jump, 35.5 inches, and a broad jump of 10.01 shows he's got the explosion, right? 40-yard dash, if I'm reading that correctly, a 4.62. Wow. That is really impressive with a 20-yard split of 2.69 and a 10-yard split of 1.61. So his composite speed grade is actually elite. Look at the arm length, over 33 inches, 33.13. That now, obviously, the composite agility grade says okay, but it's in the red there with a 4.71 grade off the shuttle and a 4.83 grade off the 3-cone. But the fact that they said he uses his hands well, he's got the quickness, he's got the arm length, that this might be a guy to keep an eye on, boys. He may go a little earlier than the 5th round. I'm just saying, like, RAS checks out 8+. We talk about Goody likes those guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you never know, man. And he does kind of feel like he's somewhat ascending, although the PFF grades suggest he took a slight step back last year. Been pretty consistent across the board. All right, let's move it along here. Next, we got Jordan Phillips, big defensive tackle out of Texas. It says Texas. That's wrong. He's from Maryland.
Incorrect. Maryland.
We'll get that edited. We'll make a note here. Sometimes I get a little – I put these together so quick. I usually put the schools in too, so that's on me. We can't blame AI for that one. So let's go Jordan Phillips. Give me just a second. And we'll go school. All right. The beautiful thing about these two, they're almost like living documents. So whenever new information comes in, I can always go back and edit these. So like when we get into our training camp previews and everything, we're going to have a running depth chart that's going to constantly be changing, which is going to be really cool. So 176 on our board, Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle out of Maryland. Jordan Phillips is a stout defensive tackle with a low pad level and a strong base to clog running lanes. He's a space eater who holds his own against double teams, though his pass rush production remains limited, relying on bull rush than finesse. His 2024 season showed incremental growth in technique. Likely a late round pick, Phillips could offer Green Bay a developmental nose tackle to bolster their defensive front. When you look at the PFF grades here, Jacob, we got a 57.2 on minimal snaps in 2022. Then in 2023, he jumps to a 71.8. 2024, he stays put at a 71.4. Run defense grade 68.6, pass rush grade is 72.7 with the overall defensive grade of 71.4. What do you think about Jordan Phillips here?
Man, he's a little bit interesting. I don't quite know if it's for the reasons that I would enjoy in 2022. Like you said, he only played 3 games. I don't know if that's injury related or just not being able to see the field. 2023, he played 13.
He was a red shirt in 22.
Yep. Okay, thank you. What scares me a little bit would be the fact that he has 0 sacks his entire college career. He has 7 hits and 19 hurries his whole college career. But necessarily, if you're plugging him in as a nose tackle, you're not really looking for a guy that's going to be sitting there being, JJ Watt or whatever. He played predominantly in the A gap in college. I shouldn't say predominantly. He played the bulk of his snaps in college. In 2023, played 224 snaps versus B gap at 187. In 2024, he played 283 versus 243 in the B gap. He actually graded up decent as far as his pass rush win rate is at 11% for being a big boy in the middle. That's not bad at all. Pass rush grade is 72.7, run defense grade is 68.6. I would be okay with us taking a flyer on him in the 5th for sure. I think that the 5th is the earliest I'd go on a guy like Jordan Phillips.
Got it. And Tim, it says here, Braden Fielding in the chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says he's on my list. Phillips has the wrestling background too, so we threw the wrestling emoji up there. Thank you for that info. Tim, what do you think about Jordan Phillips here, man? We'll go ahead and pull the RAS card for you here as well, man.
Thick.
A 6'7" here. So here's what's crazy. The RAS card was saying 6'3", right? The PFF card was saying 6'3". The RAS card is saying 6'1", 312 pounds. 29 bench reps, so pretty solid there. Vertical of 31 inches. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's basically, a bona fide nose. That's his strength, it seems like, just looking at the tail of the tape on him. But I agree with Jacob, man. I mean, I'd take a flyer on this guy in the 5th for sure. Here we go. D-line again, trenches. I'm all for it. I don't care if they draft 7 defensive players in this draft. I'll be happy, even if we don't get my boy Jaden Higgins or something. But Jordan Phillips, no, I do. I like him. I haven't watched enough tape on him yet. He's on my list of the last of these defensive guys for film study. But, man, PFF is, really high on him. They have him at 80 right now on their big board. Yep.
Let's see where he was at the end of the year. Here's what's crazy, Tim. At the end of the college football season, the PFF big board had him at 246.
Wow.
The consensus big board had him at 273. Kyle Krabs has him at 78. Dane Brugler had him at 73.
Okay.
And he was outside of Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, obviously. So, again, the main thing that brings him down is everything. Other than
the main thing that brings him down is everything.
Other than Kyle Krabs and Dane Brugler. And this is why I like our board, because when you look at someone like this, you go, okay, if you remove those 3 guys, and don't get me wrong, Daniel Jeremiah, Dane Brugler, and Kyle Krabs have a big impact on our board at the end of the day. If you remove those, he drops probably another 40 spots, man.
Yep.
The thing that brings him down is that it's who he is.
It's what he done. It's who he is, and what he probably will be. Everything.
Oh, we're gonna give him some.
The Packers surprise us on draft night, take him in the 3rd round, he ends up being a damn stud. It'd be absolutely awesome. Let's see here. Mike Abring with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, my top pass rushing defensive tackle is Omar Norman. There's a lot of people like him, man. I remember when we had that graphic. Remember we had I can't remember exactly what was it, Tim. Was it the pass rush opportunities or I can't remember what it was. It was one of those where you had the vertical on the left, the horizontal on the right. He was in the upper right big time.
Yep.
We're not quite as big on Omar Norman Lott on our board, I don't believe. Let me see if I can find him real quick. What do you guys think about Norman Lott? Does anything come to mind right offhand? Or
I mean, like Mike said, the dude's got at what I would consider a D tackle. I think he predominantly played. Yeah, he did play some A gap, but he's predominantly a B gap guy. 18.9 pass rush win rate. So he definitely has.
So why did he score so low on his PFF grade, Jake? His PFF grade, I'm showing. I may have a
69.4. Yeah. It's crazy. That is interesting because he has a pass rush grade of 81.6, run defense grade, nothing to, 68.1. The true pass rush grade of 88.3. He's got a run stop grade of 6%. I mean,
there's got to be something pulling it down, right? Because the PFF big board at the end of the year had him in the 50 spot. But
he wins primarily with athleticism and some surprising flexibility and agility, but his game lacks proper technique. That's what I'm seeing on PFF right now. Yeah.
The tape may be a little dicey there. But Omar Norman Lott, man, I wouldn't be surprised. We got him in the 123 spot. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the 2nd or 3rd round. Wouldn't surprise me at all, man.
61 on PFF's board right now. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate the super chat, Mike. Thank you, man. We'll keep an eye on him and see if anything changes on our board moving forward for sure. So wrapping this little article up, all 6 players bring traits that could address depth needs for Green Bay, and their meetings with the Packers suggest they're on the team's radar. Which do you like the most of these 6? Let us know in our favorite draft prospects chat here on Patreon. So again, appreciate everybody contributing there to Patreon. You guys talk for just a second amongst yourselves. I'm going to edit this article before I forget, because believe me, I will forget.
Well, let's answer that question ourselves, Jacob. Out of these guys we just broke down, who's your favorite on this list?
I think I'd have to say Cobee, just because of the possibility of he just to me seems like he could be a gem, one of those diamonds in the rough type guys where it's like, how come nobody had him up higher on his board, and the aggressiveness that he seems like he plays with. Again, I think it's just like we've talked about. One of the things he doesn't control is he's a little bit undersized. But if we are able to pack on maybe 5-10 pounds, a guy that's that willing to play the run fit, that is that good at what he does as a cornerback, I just think, that to me is I really don't think he's going to last till the 5th, to be honest. But if for some reason he did, I'd be skipping that card up. I'd be like Leo DiCaprio in that meme. You know, and he's.
Well, you stole my answer because that was my answer.
Sorry,
for
buddy.
sure. I like Cobee the most, and then I guess I'd probably have to go with Tyler Barron as my.
That's a good one too.
Choice. Yeah.
All right, let's do this, man. Let's switch gears. I'm going to save the what to do in Green Bay on draft weekend for tomorrow. Okay, so we'll keep that in the hopper. But let's talk about Chad Reuter and his latest mock draft real quick, and then we'll do our Javon Bullard autograph card giveaway. It's one of the perks of being in the Patreon group as well, guys, is we're going to give away autograph memorabilia, really cool items throughout the year. We probably be doing a giveaway for the next 4 straight weeks every Saturday. This week it's an autograph rookie Javon Bullard card, so make sure if you want to get yourself entered into the next giveaway, you're a member there on Patreon. But Chad Reuter of NFL.com, here was his latest mock draft, all right? Let's just dive into it. With the first pick, he has the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward. With the second pick, Travis Hunter going to Cleveland. Obviously, cornerback / wide receiver out of Colorado. With the third pick, the Giants are going to take Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. With the fourth pick, the Patriots take edge defender Abdul Carter. And rounding out the top 5, Mason Graham, defensive lineman from Michigan, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Does anything catch you guys off guard there in that top 5 in terms of this mock draft from Chad Reuter of NFL.com?
Poor Shadir, you are a giant.
I was gonna say, yeah, or the fact that the Browns just are content with never having a quarterback in the rest of their history. But
Yeah, and it's funny too. Todd McShay actually put a tweet out earlier. I had a note here to mention it. If I had to sum things up in just a couple of sentences talking about the Colorado Pro Day, zero bearing on where Shedeur is drafted, but I was expecting more of a shut the F up about my arm strength showcase today. So it sounds like he didn't really show that arm off that much in terms of the arm strength, because that's a big knock on him. It's like 90% of their offense was screen passes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important not to be a box score dweller or a PFF grade dweller, because it's like until you watch the tape and see exactly what kind of throws, what kind of plays there were, you look at his completion percentage, go, damn, that's through the roof. Yeah, he was throwing it 3 yards. So
let me pose a question to you guys real quick. If Shedeur Sanders' daddy ain't Dion, are we talking about him anywhere near the same level that he's at right now?
I think he's still a first-round pick.
Yeah, I don't think we would be talking about him, but not because it's his daddy. It's because his daddy got him the opportunity. Now, I think he's maximized that opportunity. If that makes sense. I don't know if he would have ever ended up at Colorado and had all that limelight on them for scouts to see, hey, this Shedeur Sanders kid's the real deal. I could see it being something that, him being at another school, a little less out of the limelight. So, yeah, again, I don't think he's ranked that high because Dion's his dad. But I do think he's ranked that high because he's been showcased so much because Dion's his dad, if that makes sense. I think he's done it on the field, but like Greg Cosell says, man, you got to really sit back and go, okay, boys, you can't throw screen passes every play in the NFL. You better be able to drive the ball down the field. And that's what Todd McShay was saying. He said the other thing he learned today, too, it was a nice reminder 3 weeks out that Travis Hunter is just in a different class of athlete than everybody in all caps else. More here. And he's got an article on it. So he's saying Travis Hunter is
the number 1 prospect
up here when it comes to athleticism to everyone else. So, all right, let's go in from pick 6 through 10. We got – go ahead, Jacob. You got something, man?
No, I hate sounding like a, whatever kind of guy, but I watched Travis Hunter run his wide receiver routes, and I was just like, okay. It didn't impress me really at all. Like, he looked very over dramatic with his movements. When I watched it, I was like, this almost looks like a Key and Peele skit. Like, it was kind of almost too much.
So in other words, we know why he's going into the draft as a corner then.
Yeah.
But also, boy, I bet many of those DBs last year with the numbers he put up felt like they were in the Keenan pill spit.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
That's
my
true.
God.
Do we trade up for him and just go get him? Then we get a corner and a receiver, 2-for-1 deal, Clay.
There you go.
Look
No,
at
sir. No, sir. Let's see
I'm
here. Hardy the Prophet with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Valentine, success equals Jeff Hafley, DB Whisper. I agree. I think you give him some top corner talent. That's what sucks about Ja is like, he'll just hang around for a minute, Ja, and, kind of get out of your own way. I think Hafley may be able to pull the best out of him. I think we started to see it a little bit last year, but obviously the injuries caught up. So, all right, we'll go rapid fire here. Number 6, we got Ashton Gianti, running back out of Boise State, going to the Raiders. I like that pick for the Raiders.
the Raiders.
Ashton Gianti would look absolutely sick in that silver and black, man.
That's Gruden's buddy too.
Yeah.
Remember he put Gruden up on some of the music the kids listen to nowadays.
Started watching tape to it. That was awesome. Awesome video. Number 7, look at this, boys. Surprise, surprise. We talked about it all off season, and now all of a sudden, closing in on the draft, Jackson Dart, 7th to the New York Jets out of Ole Miss. Number 8, tight end Tyler Warren out of Penn State going to the Carolina Panthers. Number 9, Jalen Walker, edge defender out of Georgia going to the Saints. And then at number 10, boy, I hate it. And Emilio's going to hate it too, but the Chicago Bears get a stud in Armand Membo, offensive tackle out of Missouri. So,
so far, T-Mac's not off the board yet, is he? Oh, there he is.
there he goes.
There he is. Never mind.
In the 11th spot, the 49ers take offensive tackle Will Campbell. 12, the Cowboys take Tet McMillan. That's a Cowboys pick right there. I can see the star on Tet McMillan's helmet for sure, man. Number 13, Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle out of Texas, goes to the Cardinals. 14, the Colts snag Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. 15, Will Johnson falls all the way to 15, cornerback out of Michigan. He goes to the Atlanta Falcons. And then breaking our heart with the 16th pick, the Dolphins take Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas. Shamar Stewart goes number 17 to the Bengals. Emeka Egbuka goes number 18 to the Seattle.
We trade up for Michael Williams?
And the Packers trade up for Michael Williams out of Georgia, number 19.
We know likey that, Jan.
Nah.
I know this, boys.
And it's not about Williams. It's about the moving up. I don't know.
We will have a much different reaction on the live stream in Green Bay than the people standing next to the stage if they say, there has been a trade. The Green Bay Packers are on the clock. That place will go nuts. And they'll go, we're getting a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then it's Michael Williams. I love it. So I guess neither of you guys like that pick, right? At 19. Just trading up, right?
It's trading up for Michael Williams. I have it hard to believe that he would not be there at 23. I mean,
we got him in the 22 spot. So our board suggests if you want him, you're going to have to at least trade up 2 picks.
Does he have the emojis?
He's got the Packers
top 30 visit, right?
The Packers met with him and they did a top 30 visit.
Okay.
So they met with him through the process and a top 30 visit. PFF had him 302 at his position. Then in 23, he jumped all the way to 105. In 24, he somewhat stabilized. It fell back a little bit to 114. The PFF big board at the end of the college football season, as the smoke cleared at the end of the season, PFF big board said he was the 17th best prospect, which lines up with the Packers taking him here at 19 on a trade-up. The consensus big board had Michael Williams in the 11th spot. Daniel Jeremiah has him as the 16th best prospect. Kyle Krabs has him as the 15th best prospect. And Dane Brugler has him as the 16th best prospect. So everything checks out across the board other than the PFF grade. Everything. So.
Well, those don't make sense half the time anyway. So
I can't. Yeah, I'm with you on that, man.
So
I mean, he is a Georgia guy. It does make sense, doesn't it?
It does. Jacob sounds so defeated. So let's round this out real quick. At 20, Colston Loveland goes to the Broncos. 21, Omarion Hampton goes to the Steelers. Donovan Ezrau goes 22 to the Chargers. 23 is Nick Emenwore to the Bucks. 24, Ariante Ursary out of Minnesota, offensive tackle, goes to the Chiefs. 25th, Derek Harmon to the Texans. So we could have gotten him at 23. Walter Nolan
Eagles.
goes 26 to the Eagles. So this Greg Cosell said Walter Nolan is the Jalen Carter of this draft. And he's going to go to the team that already has Jalen Carter. Imagine that.
Shocking.
And then we'll all be surprised that they're playing in the Super Bowl again. Matthew Golden goes number 27 to the Bills. Jonah Savaiinaea, interior offensive lineman from Arizona, goes number 28 to the Lions, and it's tagged as rare there. So that's very rare that Jonah Savaiinaea is mocked to the Lions at 28. Mike Green falls all the way to 29th to the Washington Commanders. Malachi Stark, safety out of Georgia, goes 30 to the Ravens. Azare Thomas goes 31 to the Vikings. And as we mentioned earlier, wide receiver out of Texas, Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden's teammate, goes 32 to the Rams. And that is considered rare here on this. So the top players not included in the first round, look at this. Kenneth Grant, James Pierce Jr.
Those are two shockers right there.
Josh Simmons, Tyler Booker, and Gray Zabel. So basically, rather than trade up to get Michael Williams, we probably could have traded back, picked up an extra third, and got Kenneth Grant or James Pierce.
Or James Pierce, yep.
Or Josh Simmons. I'd be okay with that.
Or stuck in pick and took Walter Nolan.
Yeah, Josh Simmons on our board is actually in the 24 spot. So if you trade back and take him, I'd have no problem with that either. So very, very, very interesting there. I see people were saying that's kind of high for Ursery is what Prince said. Let's see where we got Ursery, because at one point we were real high on him, and I feel like you're right. He has dropped since then. Where are you at, Ursery? Please don't make me search. I'm going to have to search. This ain't good. Let's see here.
I'm definitely surprised by the fact that Kenneth Grant and James Pierce wouldn't have been picked there. Even some of the guys that were picked, I don't know. I'd go as Gray Zabel over Ursery personally.
Yeah, we got Ursery in the 44 spot, so we agree, Prince. Yeah, that's definitely high for Ursery.
Can you scroll back up? Where did Ezra end up?
I don't think he ended up anywhere.
I thought he got
picked. Yeah, he got drafted. He got drafted.
22.
22. Okay,
that makes sense actually.
All right.
So that would have been one pick before we picked, right? So.
Yep.
It looks like, too, that the Vikings were to trade back, which kind of makes sense because I believe they have limited draft picks this year. I keep seeing – I was going to say I think they have 4 picks. I keep seeing them getting mocked to Nick Emwari. I think that's a really good pick for the Vikings with Harrison Smith. Just absolutely – I don't know how Harrison Smith is still alive. I mean, the guy's just year in and year out just keeps trotting out there and doing good football. But, yeah, man, the Derek Harmon and Walter Nolan duo going 25 and 26, to me, that seems crazy.
Yeah, and Nick Emwari is in the 32 spot on our board, and it was wild because we've got Malachi Starks higher than him.
Yeah,
but Greg Cosell basically said Nick Emwari is the best safety in this draft in his opinion. So what he said about Walter Nolan being better than Mason Graham, he's basically saying Nick Emwari is better than Starks. So
and Starks went what 30th?
He went. Where did Malachi Starks go? I know he went. Yeah, 30th to the Ravens. That'll be a good pick. They'll put him right back there with Kyle Hamilton, won't they? And they'll just be studs. That's what will happen. So, all right. Prince in the chat says Chad Reuter had Pierce not going until 60. Boy, if we could get James Pierce Jr. at 54, that would be absolutely awesome. Sign me up. So, all right. We got to move it along, boys. We ran out of time. It snuck up on us. This is a fun episode, though. Let's do a giveaway. Y'all want to do that?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Somebody hooked up, man.
So,
Pinky wheel.
An autographed Javon Bullard card here is a Larry McCarron Pinky wheel.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to get yourself entered into these giveaways, we're going to be doing one every week this month. Make sure that you are just a member of the Patreon group or a member on YouTube. I prefer the Patreon group because you're going to get a lot more bang for your $3 buck in there. Get all access to everything on our site. But yeah, so here are the entries. We got 123. Somebody in the chat, give me a number as quick as possible so we can shuffle this thing. So I don't get accused by Holmes MD1 for it being rigged.
Rigged.
And in the meantime, use Instacart, sponsor the show. Okay.
Do 20 for Bullard's number. Get up 20 times. Let's go.
Tim, they will say in the chat that you told me to say 20 beforehand and we rigged it. So someone, Deadfish says 6. All right, here we go.
That'll work.
Shuffle it 6 times, boys. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in the chat, they're going to say, Deadfish is your uncle. You talked to him before the show. All right, here we go. We're going to spin it. Whoever it lands on will be the first place winner. If we don't hear from them, we're going to spin it 2 more times. That we'll have backup winners as well. 11 to 2. I'm too drunk to taste that chicken there, Prince. Here we go. And the winner of the autographed rookie
Hey,
card,
big money.
Bullard, is it was almost Jazambi who donated the cards. That would have been hilarious.
We don't want it. Give it back.
All right, so the winner is Jake G126. Congratulations, sir. Jake G126. All right, we're going to spin it 2 more times in case JG126 is in the clink. Here we go. Second place winner will be.
I'm smelling.
Oh, it's close.
Oh,
Gary
no.
Weiss Corbley. Good stuff. Gary Weiss Corbley. One of the newest members of our Patreon group, by the way. And I think one of the things you can do in Patreon too, you can choose to be, a little extra generous. I think she's a $5 member. No extra perks. It's just for people if they want to be, extra supporting of the show. So that's the second place winner if we don't hear from Jake G126. The third place winner will be. Who's it going to be here, Tim?
Holmes. It's going to be the doctor. Let's see.
Jen.
It's Jen.
Oh,
Wright.
Jen Wright. There we go.
Look at the ladies taking over tonight. I like it. That's what I'm talking about.
Tell you
All
what.
right. So, again, the first place winner, no offense, JG126. I'm just saying there was 2. JG126 is the winner. If we don't hear from him, second place winner will be Jerry Weiss Corbley. If we don't hear from her, it'll be Jen Wright. That'll be the autographed Javon Bullock card. So, next week, we're going to be giving away an autographed Katan Oladapo rookie card.
What?
Ooh.
Okay,
I want
so
that.
that'll be next. That'll be next week's giveaway. So, all right, boys, this was fun. This is a good episode. It's hard for me to close it out with this without
Aw.
trying to be serious here. I'm telling you, man. So, anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up? Anything at all? This was fun.
Great giveaways. Appreciate you taking the time to do that, man. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Jazambi, man. Jazambi's the man, dude.
Yep.
Thanks for that for sure. So,
Are we going to do a morning show tomorrow, Mr. Clayton?
I was not planning on it. I say no. I like what we're doing right now. I think we got us a good little. It gives me time throughout the day to let some information come in, put an article together, put together a little bit of a show. We'll get back to the morning shows again soon, but right now we'll just kind of hold off. That's all right with you guys. It is nice sleeping in an extra 30 minutes. Man, he's like, you're sleeping in literally 30 minutes, Clayton. It's not, you have no idea what that 30 minutes does for this old man. I'm just telling you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, buddy.
all right. So tomorrow, go ahead, Jacob.
No, tomorrow night. I compiled a list of 5 guys that we could get in either the 5th to 7th round that I think we should take a peek at and just be aware of who they are. So yeah, if we have time.
Why don't you do me a favor, man? Why don't you text me over or in our private text or whatever, text me over that list if you can just list them all out.
You gotta unblock me, dude.
Yeah. Well, stop sending those pics, all right?
I can't, dude.
So if you send those over, what I'll do, I can't block. I'll put that list together into the system, and we'll spit out a little scouting report on all of them. That'd be fun. So
Nice.
something like that. All right. Everybody have a great night. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate you supporting the show. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you like the show, of course, if you didn't, just pretend like we never crossed paths. Make sure you check out the Patreon group. And yeah, everybody have a hey, easy now. Easy. Y'all are unbelievable. See, we should have just ended the show, Tim.
That's terrible.
That's it. Now we're just going to end the show. Bye.
And we go.
Bye, guys.